Hello athletes and fitness enthusiasts, Jürgen Swinkels here. Recently, one of my students asked me what the difference is between foods high and low in glycemic index, which ones are essential for athletes, and if I could provide some examples of each food category. Actually, there are many misconceptions about the GI index of foods, and that's why I have decided to dedicate a short video to the topic. The glycemic index is a number from 0 to 100 assigned to a food with pure glucose given the value of 100, which represents the relative rise in blood glucose level after ingestion. The GI of a specific food depends primarily on the quantity and type of carbohydrates it contains, but it also affected by the amount of entrapment of the carbohydrate molecules within the food, the fat and protein content of the food, the amount of organic acids in the food, and whether the food is cooked, and if so, how it's cooked. A food is considered to have a low glycemic index if it is 55 or less, a high glycemic index if it is 70 or more, and a mid-range glycemic index if it's in between those values. High GI foods are digested rapidly and therefore causing spikes in blood sugar. Low and moderate GI foods, on the other hand, digest more slowly, which leads to a more gradual blood sugar rise. A simplified description of the digestion process in general includes the following steps. After ingestion, your food travels through your esophagus and arrives in your stomach. After some time, it leaves your stomach, enters your intestine, and then finally the different nutrients are transported from the intestine into the bloodstream. As said, the speed of the process depends on multiple factors. So the graph here shows the blood glucose response after ingesting different type of GI foods. You can see a steep rise in blood glucose level for a high GI food, followed by a rapid decline in blood glucose levels. The sudden influx of glucose causes the pancreas to release a large amount of insulin, which removes the glucose and causes the blood glucose level to plummet just as quickly. Moderate and low GI foods cause a much more modest increase and more gradual decline of the blood sugar levels. So it's clear that high GI foods will cause a sharp rise in blood sugar levels, but how fast? To illustrate the speed, let me give you an example. Here is a graph showing what happens to the amount of sugar in the blood of a person after drinking sucrose sugar, so a high GI food. If you drink a sugary beverage on an empty stomach, some of that sugar will be in your blood already within a couple of minutes. Indeed, after a few minutes, the blood sugar level starts rising and it reaches its peak after less than half an hour. After 2 hours, the levels are back again at its starting point. Actually, the speed of the process not only depends on the glycemic index of the food, but also on how much food the stomach already contains. Now let's look at some food examples. Foods with high, medium and low glycemic index are shown in the table here. I'm not going to read the list out loud, so if you want to have a closer look, just pause the video. You have to keep in mind that eating low GI foods and high GI foods at the same time has the effect of averaging the GI. This is important as most foods are eaten as part of a meal, and this affects the GI value of foods. For example, eating cornflakes, which is a high GI food, with low-fat milk, which is a low GI food, will reduce the overall effect of the cornflakes and milk meal on blood glucose levels. Now getting back to the initial question, what foods are essential for athletes and fitness enthusiasts? High, medium or low GI foods? The answer is actually, it depends. The best strategy for athletes is to utilize low and medium GI food pre-exercise to help build glycogen levels that provide sustained energy. Eating low GI foods 2 hours before endurance events, such as long distance running, may improve exercise capacity. It's thought that the meal will have left your stomach before you start the event, but remains in your small intestine, releasing energy for a few hours afterwards. However, the benefits of using low and medium GI food pre-exercise is somewhat doubtful if the exercise duration is relatively short and if athletes are able to fuel up during the session, which prolongs energy levels and can also enhance performance. High GI food may be ingested post-exercise to enhance recovery and allow quick glycogen buildup in the muscles. High GI food is most effective when an athlete has multiple training sessions in one day or when the next session is less than 8 hours away. Total quantity of carbohydrates becomes more important if the next training session is more than 8 hours away, as the body has adequate time to recover over a longer period of time, allowing for sufficient carbohydrate uptake. I hope all is clear now about glycemic index and the use of high, medium and low GI foods by athletes and fitness enthusiasts. And with that, I would like to finish this video. Hope to see you again next time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We are dropping videos like this on YouTube on a regular basis. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments box below with hashtag School of Sport Nutrition, and I'll do my best to get in there and get those questions answered right away.